The Unquestionable Podcast, brought to you by members of the Unquestionable Presence Guild on Stormrage.
It's Tuesday, the 21st of August. This is the Unquestionable Podcast, episode number 18. I'm Wolfshot, the Worgen Hunter. Joining me today, my co-host. You know him, Warlock by night, Guildmaster extraordinaire all the time. Andy Mack, hello to the show.
Good evening to yourself. How are you doing?
I'm really good, thank you very much. How's your week in WoW been?
It's been really good. It's been a very, very busy week, is all I can say.
Plenty to talk about, plenty to
I
get
can't
through.
wait there's a lot to get through, especially on tonight's show, and but quite a bit of progress to even. How's your week been?
It's been good. Like on a sort of like on a character scale of things, I've been sort of like leveling up my herbalism, ready to go into Mr. Pandaria with collecting those mats. Sorry.
Yeah, I've been pretty busy on my paladin trying to get his mining up a bit. Yeah, I noticed you were quite busy on your herbalism. In fact, you've managed to cap it already, haven't you?
Yeah, I managed to cap my herbalism. Did that in probably a few hours. So
it just shows you it's not as slow as what some people think.
No, it's not. No, it wasn't too bad, to be honest. I mean, effectively, it is gathering 525 of said item.
Well, yeah, I think we mentioned this previously. The only sort of annoyance hindrance is the travel, really, isn't it?
Yeah, getting between your zones and knowing which zone to go to next that's best for you.
Yeah, I was finding myself
gathering those areas.
I was finding myself having to check on Google a few times where to go next to find, for my next specific item to mine, as it were.
Yeah.
And, but it's fine. It's getting up there fine.
That's the good thing about World of Warcraft is how much information is out there to help you find this sort of thing. You can find things like that quite easily.
It sounds like a bit of an old cliche now, at the touch of a button, but literally it is. I mean, I know that you get a lot of people saying on Trade Channel, "Oh, Google it, go and Google it," but that's actually sometimes what I feel like saying, because it takes a couple of seconds really to just go and check it out, and you're gonna find it. It's gonna be there,
Yeah, arguably though, it means that the community becomes less helpful because the default answer is, "Have you not heard of Wowhead?"
Yeah, that's quite a common one, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah, I suppose there is it's still nice to explain. And when people, I don't get me wrong, I'm not one of these people that do say, "I'll go and Google it," but I mean, I can sort of sometimes see both sides. But if it's something really simple, if you know what I mean, that you could just sort of quickly check or something like that.
I mean, I think it's something that people forget about an awful lot, but there's always this sort of like ebb and flow of new players coming to the game as well.
Yeah.
Like the other day, I was when I started leveling herbalism, I was over in Elwyn Forest and doing getting me earth root and silver leaf.
Mm-hmm.
And
I remember those.
Yeah, and this level 11 hunter come by, and I saw he was trying to do Hogger, and I saw him running away from stuff. So I just gave him a slash whisper and asked him if he was doing Hogger for a quest, and he said yes. So I said, pull him, and I'll help you. And his reply back was pull ? It didn't know what the term pull meant.
Yeah.
And sometimes we maybe forget that there's people who may even be new to MMOs.
That's a very, very good point. Because this was, in my case, I've mentioned this is the first and only MMO I've ever played.
Yeah.
So I can remember when I first started playing it in terms like that. Yeah, I did. I was a bit like question mark type thing. But I was just going to refer back to you going to help somebody fight Hogger. I was going to say like, any excuse just to kill Hogger.
Yeah, any excuse. I was on my way there myself, so I thought might as well help someone. Always take that little detour.
I mean, you do sometimes get, but you're right. Yeah, but there's still always going to be new people, and especially it's going to be even more relevant in the next month or two.
Yeah.
There's going to be new people.
Yeah, I mean, when he asked, pull the question mark, my reply back was, it means just shoot it.
He's
So-
pretty safe with a level 85 on site. So
Yeah, I'm sure he'd be fine. Because we weren't grouped up, I didn't want to deprive him of the kill.
right. Okay.
So yeah, he pulled him. I slammed my shield into Hogger's face, and everyone went home a winner.
Yeah.
And Hogger went to
So it's
jail.
a good day all in all.
It does. It sounds like a lovely day out in the countryside. There's my paladin picking flowers and beating up low-level
Yep.
mobs. What a
You've
hero!
done your good deed for the day as well, though. So
Well, I was
helping.
thinking this from. I don't know how they cope on RP servers, because my paladin has gone from tanking Dragon Soul 8 of 8. Well, he's gone from being a ret pally, smiting evil with all his might, to being hit in the face for fun, whilst other people get the job of smiting people.
Yeah.
He then tanked DS, and now he's wandering around low-level areas, picking flowers and helping new players kill low-level mobs for quests. From an RP perspective, he must be in the absolute pits. He's like, where did my life go wrong? It's all right. He gets to go to Pandaria soon.
Yeah, it does. It's just filling in some time.
Yeah. So I then offered up some words of wisdom for him over sort of like using the general interface for communicating with people, adding people to your friends list. I told him to add me to his friends list, and if he's got any hunter questions, just shoot them my way, which then he did straight away.
Yeah.
Asking things like, can hunters change their pets? Can hunters ride their pets? And for someone who's I've always had a hunter character on my account, and those questions seem at face value they seem kind of almost daft. It's like, no, of course you can't ride your pet. But for someone who's just picked it up,
well, that's it. It goes back to the thing we mentioned a minute ago. I mean, it could be the first time he's ever went near an MMO in his life.
Exactly. I mean, he seemed thoroughly impressed when I hopped on my Tyrael's charger and flew off into the sunset.
Yeah,
so there's my helping new players achievement.
I don't mind
this week.
if I'm on my warlock, but that's a good deed. Well done.
Indeed.
I don't mind if I'm on my warlock and people ask me questions about it, because I'm pretty good at talking about that. But say if I'm on my paladin or my priest, I'm still a little bit. I'm not really sure. I'll ask another. I'll go and find another paladin. But anyway, it's been as I say, not a bad week at all.
Nope.
Very, very busy indeed, and which we'll touch upon quite a bit in progression later on in the show.
Well, I think then we should progress ourselves through the show and head into the news.
We interrupt your regular broadcast to bring you this important news bulletin.
Right off the back of last week's show, where we're talking and speculating wildly about what we wanted to see in the Mists of Pandaria cinematics trailer that was released the day after we recorded, we actually got it. They released it at Gamescom, and within minutes it was everywhere over the interweb.
It was everywhere.
For anyone who hasn't seen it, press pause, go and watch it, come back, then listen to this next bit. We'll even give you a moment. That's long enough. There's a pause button. Andy, what do you think of it?
Well, before I watched it, I was really excited to see it. Obviously, I think as soon as I'd got back in that day, it was the 16th. I think it was released.
It was indeed.
Yeah, no, it was a Wednesday. I straight onto YouTube, watched it. I loved it. I thought it was brilliant. Basically, it shows you the initial start of the whole process. There's the clash. I presume from Theramore. It's there's a boat battle. Horde and Alliance obviously fighting each other. There's some sort of shipwreck. They end up on a mysterious island. Well, you see a couple. A guy from the Horde, a guy from the Alliance. I think it's an orc, and one's a human.
Yep.
and then they continue their fight on this mysterious island, and they start damaging things there, and it sort of annoys one of the local residents who ends up getting involved himself. But it's to me, it's a great trailer, and it's it explains well, not explains, but it explains why it's given the new race almost a reason for something. And at the very end, one of my favourite parts is when it actually shows you, it expands upon like the entire rest of this new land, which is, I thought was quite exciting. I thought it was, yes, this is really going to be good. Can't wait to play the game. Simple as that. What about yourself? What do you think?
I loved every moment of it. I really did. I watched it numerous times, back to back.
Yep. So, yeah.
Really enjoyed it. I think there's parts of the expansion of parts of the cinematic that really address the roots of Warcraft and at the same time really address the future as well.
Yeah.
I've got a couple of little bits to play from the cinematic, some little audio from the beginning and the end, just to give those a little bit of a taster, or those who have watched it already, a reminder of how great some of it is. Have a listen to some of these bits.
To ask why we fight is to ask why the leaves fall. It is in their nature. Perhaps.
So yeah, the question: why do we fight? It's Chen Stormstout narrating and being in the cinematic.
Cinematic itself, yeah.
And sort of like asking those, sort of like making those fundamental suggestions that in a way we kind of expect from the culture that the Pandaren come from. And then further on in the trailer, he has this to say about it all.
Why do we fight? To protect home and family. To preserve balance and bring harmony. For my kind, the true question is, what is worth fighting for?
Indeed, what is worth fighting for?
And that is one of my favourite parts. And that's at the very end of the cinematic, and it's almost like, to me, it's them acknowledging the fact that they've now got something to fight for themselves. You know.
Yeah, because for people who've kind of been under a rock or haven't heard about the general feel of the expansion, is we kind of get stranded almost on Pandaria, the Horde and the Alliance, and there's small amounts of manpower available there, and sort of like we then start fighting each other. We disrupt the harmony of Pandaria. We let some evil things out of a cupboard, and the Pandaren, instead of and this is very sort of indicative of their nature. Other races would just see you as the problem, attack you, and try and wipe you out to solve the problem. The Pandaren ally themselves with both factions and try and resolve the problem, not the cause of the problem.
Exactly. They don't want to. Yeah. They try to resolve it, which just you're right. It just shows you it's almost like they want to continue in this theme of peace and harmony, almost. You know,
yeah, and by that peace and harmony, by allying themselves with both the Horde and the Alliance, they are maintaining balance. Their people are balancing themselves between both factions and both sets of ideals that the Pandarens have in their culture. And they're also, ultimately, they're now helping those factions bring about balance again by resolving the conflicts and problems that this has all stirred up.
That's right. And it touches upon like possible, obviously future problems. They're gonna be there to unite everybody. Well, they're gonna help unite everybody against a common threat. Well, one big threat or something like. So I just thought it adds more to the excitement of the actual expansion. I know some people have had their own views on the cinematic. But from what I see and what I've seen, people's views seem to be on the vastly positive about it.
Indeed.
I thought it was great.
I mean, I said before, sort of like I feel that there's things in the trailer that help point towards. Well, it's a nod towards the roots of World of Warcraft, and it's also, at the same time, indicators towards the future of World of Warcraft.
Absolutely.
So you've got if you strip away the music and you strip away the brilliant animation of it all, you're essentially stripped back Orc versus Human, which was the title of the Warcraft RTS game, Orcs versus Humans,
Right.
and that fight between those two races that's been this enduring bind between the conflict of the Horde and the Alliance.
Yep.
And then there's this moment where this unknown entity enters the fray.
Yep.
And it turns out that it's Chen Stormstout. He intervenes in the fight. They're fighting around on a temple site. They're ruining it. They're breaking things, snapping things off to use as weapons.
This shows you how their disregard of,
Yeah,
so
they're in a way they're desecrating sacred ground. So
That's right.
Chen Stormstout steps in. The Horde and Alliance now are faced with something they don't understand, they don't know if they can fight it on its own, which is something that has happened time and time again in World of Warcraft.
That's right. Yeah.
The Lich King brought both factions together. I know there was sort of like the loot ship fight, which saw you fighting each other.
That's right.
And
The Deathwing, obviously Deathwing, of course.
Deathwing is a perfect example of an event and occurrences that have galvanized the world as one to act in the same manner. And
Absolutely.
this is nodded to in the cinematic when the human passes a sharpened oar to the orc, as if to say, "You're going to need this."
It's almost like it's a little bit of humour thrown in, I think, at the same time.
Indeed, and people have complained about the humour in the
I don't
cinematic,
understand.
which is I think is if you go back and watch the other cinematics, there's humour in those. There's
There
that
is.
classic
It's
moment
disgusting.
where the mage polymorphs him into a sheep, and sort of like it bars and wiggles its legs before falling. And there is comedy moments now. I think people may be forgetting that World of Warcraft, even when you play it, is full of humour.
Of course it is, and it always has been.
Exactly. Blizzard are no stranger to pop culture references.
Because another way as well to look at it as well. I mean, there could be no humour at all in the game. I mean, and people just would not play that at all.
Well, we
There
would
was
have
no humour
ended up
whatsoever.
with the Cataclysm cinematic again if you wanted to just go serious.
That's yeah.
and that cinematic is probably the one that people think least of.
Well, from what I've been looking and reading about, and that seems to be the case now. This one has been really, really well received, I think, in general.
Yeah, I mean, but even the Cataclysm cinematic, there's a point where it's not funny, but I found it humorous because of what it's
Yeah.
parodying. There's the
Yeah.
moment where the giant wave comes to Booty Bay, and you've got the goblin stood there like the statue of Christ, and this gigantic wave comes, and at the end of the day, you've got a goblin in as the statue of Christ. That's humorous.
Exactly. You've got. I think they've all, as we've just said, they've all pretty much had a slight injection of humour, to them. And I think this is no different to the rest of them.
I mean, one thing I was going to ask you was, do you think we're going to see players repeating and using the line of, "Why do we fight?" Because there's only one of the cinematics, I think, so far that has given us something like that is memorable.
And I know
Cataclysm
exactly what you
kind
mean.
of did it with pain and agony.
You're not prepared. Is that the one you're thinking?
You
of?
Are Not Prepared has etched itself in World of Warcraft history.
It's sad that I don't know.
It was such an iconic moment where Illidan rises up against the sky and shouts and challenges you and tells you are not prepared. I mean, we are vastly prepared now. We just wander in there at 85 and make Illidan kiss our boots and leave with his loot.
Yeah. Well, I think I do have an answer for this. I think it could be used, and I think there is a good chance it will be used in a few certain situations within game.
Yep.
You might get the occasional moment on trade where people might start having a little bit of an argument, and you might get somebody thrown in. Why do we fight? Could happen there, you never know.
Guys, why do we fight?
Exactly. Could happen in a guild.
And then the next person
discussion.
is like asking why the leaves fall.
Yeah, to be honest, I think it is something that you will probably see used now and again.
I think the RP servers will love it. I think the Pandaren starting zone will just be /say why do we fight? Macros.
Yeah, well, that's another thing. You might see a few macros made of that. I mean, I'm no stranger to making a bit of a few silly macros over the years. I never did a "you are not prepared" one, but that's something you do hear now and again, don't you, on trade or even on guild chat or.
I mean, an example of a circumstance in game where people sort of like take it on and run with it, and I'm just as guilty as this. Hour of Twilight, Archbishop Benedictus, power! /Yao, power! Exclamation mark, exclamation mark, exclamation mark.
Yeah.
Or,
I think,
as I like doing, as I run past him and he runs out to check that the coast is clear, scum.
I've never seen that. You done that before. But
I like to throw me scum at old Archbishop Benedictus.
Yeah, I think that's a common thing though. In Warcraft and over the years, people, parodying. I can't never get that word right.
Yeah.
Making a parody of the voice acting, even although the voice acting is always, in my opinion, really good for the majority of the bosses.
Yeah, the majority of the fights, Chris Metzen does a good job of voicing everything.
Yeah, that's it. And the term "you're not prepared," stuff like that, and people always make their own little jokes, and they always throw it into little discussions. I know I do it myself. I've made macros of boss sayings and stuff like that just for the sake of it, really. Just for something to do.
Yeah.
Not that I'm saying I have nothing else to do, but.
So I'll put this to you first, Andy.
Yep.
Out of all the cinematics we've had for World of Warcraft, which one's your favourite?
Glad you asked me this. Good question as well, but without a doubt, the Wrath of the Lich King, to me, is still my all-time favourite. What about yourself, James?
I'm really torn between Wrath of the Lich King, like yourself, and the BC one, because
that's an awesome one as well, isn't it?
Because, like as I said, it gave us the you're not prepared. It gave us sort of like the
Legendary
Burning Legion in the fight as well. But I think I will have to go with Wrath of the Lich King, because the voiceover from Arthur's father, King Tyrannus, I think it is.
I think that's what does it for me.
It's so haunting, and the words are so profound because of who Arthas is and what he's become and the sacrifices he's made, and the words that his father speaks resonate with me at that moment.
Yeah, to me it's the most powerful of the cinematics that I've seen. This latest one for Mist is excellent. I think they're all suitable. They're all suited to their own situation, if you know what I mean.
Yeah.
And that they're all good for their own situation, the current situation, if you like, is where the game is where it's standing. But yeah, for me, that one was my Wrath was my favourite, hands down.
Yeah, the Wrath one. Like I said, the vocal over that, and it's just wonderful.
The whole atmosphere
really is good. Yeah, the atmosphere of it, and sort of like then sort of like as the dragon comes from the glacier, you get You get sort of like the Scourge army being formed at the same time, but there was something about the Miss Pandaria cinematic that I really liked. Is
Uh,
after the mist is cleared by Chen, and you
Yeah.
get that sweeping landscape shot of
That's my favourite part.
Pandaria.
Yeah. Because it really just it simply shouts out, there's a whole new world out there.
Yeah,
You know,
explore me.
Exactly. It's shouting out, here I am, and it makes you really can't wait to get out there and start doing that, and seeing what's in front of you.
Yeah.
So to speak, which and the voice acting in the latest cinematic to me was really powerful. I think people were a bit worried about because of the race that was going to be used, how it was going to sound. I thought the voice acting was fantastic from Stormstinct. Should I say?
Yeah.
I think a lot of people got confused. They thought it was actually just a random monk.
Yeah, I think
From some of the
that
reports I've
that
read.
may have been lost a little bit with people.
Yeah,
is
I
that,
think it's possible.
I mean, one of my favourite. There was a forum post that I'm gonna have to read out, which I absolutely loved, and it it was over on the US forums, and I
Oh,
don't know
yeah.
whether this person was being serious or not. I'd like to think this is kind of serious, and it
Right.
read, "Dear Blizzard, in your opening cinematic, you show a monk soloing 2 players. This is completely unfair, and I'm considering cancelling my subscription. Therefore, this needs to be addressed, or you could lose millions of players." I
He's trolling.
don't think I've heard of anyone rage quitting because there was a Pandaren fighting 2 people at the same time in a cinematic.
That's he's got to be trolling.
I
Simple.
I know. I'd like to think that they're an individual who strongly believes in exactly every single word that they've written. But as preposterous as it sounds, it actually got an answer from a blue poster,
Oh,
and it was Zarheim over on the US forums, and he replied, "That's Chen Stormstout. If he was fighting Varian and Garrosh in the open cinematic, you may have a point, maybe."
yeah,
And
Yeah.
that is exactly the point. Is
yeah,
it's an orc and a human that have washed up.
yeah, exactly.
Weapons are
Just on-
broken. They haven't got
Yep.
weapons. There's sort of like their clothing's in tatters. They're not exactly the
Probably
most
exhausted.
well armored person in the world
No,
at that
right.
stage. They've been fighting each other for a sustained period as well.
They're possibly still in shock and about where on earth they've turned up and what they've just seen.
But yeah, it's
i.e.
it's.
Stormstout.
I mean, some of the community responses to that person were quite clever and original.
I can imagine.
Like someone put theoretically that guy had 5 levels on them.
True. But that
So-
does seem to be a little bit of a talking point. It seems to be that they don't realise that who it actually is. They just think it's, as I said earlier on, I think they just think it's just some random monk that just appeared and just decided to.
Yeah, and it is a particular character. It would be
it's something
like
quite important.
it would be like as we say, like seeing Garrosh or Varian Rin having a fight and them taking on multiple foes that are generic.
Yeah,
It's highly possible. I'm waiting for the original poster to claim that no one should be able to pull more than 2 mobs because it's unrealistic.
don't give them ideas.
So there'll be no AoE fighting, just single target only. If only
no.
people on Madness of Deathwing could understand that.
Oh,
Anyway, I digress.
it doesn't sound better at all.
No, I've on my tank for LFR. I've even got a macro that spams the raid warnings: single target, single target, single target.
Yep. It's funny when you say that. When we've been there quite a lot now, and we used the voice server for the raids, and you've still got to make sure just people know, because there's that risk you just don't want to take if somebody just AoE and you still want to make sure, and it's almost becomes a habit saying single target. And say for example, I was leading a raid last weekend, and I sometimes felt, I hope I'm not sounding a bit too patronising every time I'm saying single target. 'Cause I felt I was starting to say it quite a lot, but again, you've got to be careful.
The way I look at it when I raid lead is it's better to say it and for people to go, yeah, I know in their
Yeah.
heads than
Yeah.
for people not to realise or to forget.
It's better to have these things covered, I think.
Exactly. Andy, we've had a blue post with detailing sort of like what to expect from the forthcoming patch on release, and also a little bit of what's going to be coming in the first content patch.
We have indeed. As you know, the patch finally lands, the pre-patch finally lands a week today. Things are going to be happening in a few stages in terms of currency. The Valor points are going to now be converted to Justice points, and Conquest points will be converted to Honor. Now, this is as of the patch, which lands on August the 28th, which is a week today, Tuesday, August the 28th.
Yeah, I think ours is the 29th.
Yeah,
You get ours the day later. I'm pretty sure that's the case.
It'll be the Wednesday for ourselves. You actually won't be. You know how currently you actually have a cap on your Justice and Honor points. Well, during the time between the patch and the actual expansion, you won't have a cap on your Justice or Honor points. So it might be a good idea to start saving them up now, because if you're going to want to make a new character, like your Pandaren, your monk, you might want to get some heirlooms for that character. So it might be a good idea to just stick with what you got at the moment in terms of Justice points and save a few more.
Indeed.
And also, sorry to interrupt you there.
It's all right. I think you're going to say what I was going to say.
It was in terms about the arena.
Indeed.
Season. Yeah, for all your PvPers out there, the arena season, I'm pretty sure you'll know anyway, will end as of patch day. I've noticed something as well. I mean, you won't be able to earn any more Valor or Conquest points. Bosses will now just drop Justice. The bosses from your raids and things like that. But LFR, I presume, will be the same.
Mm-hmm.
It's the arenas. Are they going to be still available for people in terms of just for going in for fun, or because I read a part saying arenas will be closed. Now, I'm still slightly
the whole thing reads arenas will be closed, and there's a full stop, and so whether people are going to be able to just go in there for fun, or just it won't be an option for people. I'm not entirely sure. It seems a bit silly to just sort of remove a whole section out that people enjoy.
Yeah. See, that's because as I was mentioning in the last few weeks, I've been getting into arena slightly, and I've been actually starting to surprise myself by actually enjoying it. And I'm thinking to myself, oh no, when I read that. But see, I'm still noobish about PvP, so again, if I'm wrong about this one, feel free to tell me. When you see me.
Send all your complaints to Andy. No, the other part of that is as well is that anything that you can purchase for Valor or Conquest in game will be automatically reverted to Justice or Honor.
Well, yeah.
So if you're still trying to gear up an alt for Valor point gear, you'll be able to purchase those pieces, but with Justice points instead.
And after the game, actually, the expansion itself finally lands on the 25th of September, we'll be pretty much back to normal in terms of earning Valor again. Basically, Valor will drop from your raid bosses and your dungeons, your 5-mans. And as you know, you'll be able to get your Valor from, a certain amount of Valor points from doing dailies from now on.
Yeah, dailies, random scenarios, heroic dungeons.
And you can earn up to 1,000 Valor per week. And your maximum you can carry in terms of Valor is 3,000, I believe.
Indeed, and of course, last week we spoke about once you max out your Valor cap for a week on your one character, all of your other characters will get this buff that increases the amount of Valor they can earn as well. Well, how much you earn at a time, should I say? Not. It won't increase your cap. It will increase how much you get per go.
There is a slight difference I noticed though. That you're not going to have the old almost tabard rep grinding system that we have currently in Kata. It's going to be a case of possibly doing dailies
Dailies
get
for everyone.
reputation, because you're going to need reputation. Well, you're going to need to revered with certain factions to actually buy the item level.
Yeah,
high
the Valor item level.
Valor gear. Yeah. So that's going to be interesting to see how that goes down with some people. What do you think?
I think it all depends on how much rep you pick up just through your questing on your way to
point.
90, and how many dailies you're going to have to do with these factions before you get revered.
Because bear in mind that there is no daily cap.
Nope.
So there's not going to be one as of Mists, because currently it's 25, and there's not going to be one anymore. I'm not suggesting that people are going to go out there and do like 200 dailies each day, but
Well, I think Blizzard have said elsewhere that there will be, in one day, there'll be 48 dailies available.
okay,
They've put they're putting about 300 dailies into Mr. Pandaria's sort of like content,
is
and
a lot.
48 will be available at any one time. So there's plenty of cycle
Oh, definitely.
for the dailies, so that you're not just doing the go collect 5 of these every day.
Yeah, they'll change, and there's going to be dailies.
One
for
day
the
you might have to
Archdol.
collect 6. No, I'm sure it's something they're fully aware of, because Blizzard have said for a long while now they want to take things out of the game that are considered rep grinds. It's why the head enchants are going away and the shoulder enchants are going to inscriptors, instead of you having to grind out rep with different factions depending on what character class and spec you are.
Well, with them saying that, I mean, it makes me think that it probably won't take you that long to get to a revered level.
No, I
With
think
the
sort of like that revered to exalted will take a while,
Yeah, I think that will take long.
because of
longer than
obviously the
actual
reward
getting-
of getting exalted with these different factions. But
Sure.
I think getting to revered, you'll probably get there quite comfortably.
Mhm. And the names of the factions that will sell the gear. Do you want to try and pronounce these?
I thought you were going to do that. The Klaxai, Golden Lotus, Shadowpan, and the
That's the one
August
I don't know.
Celestials.
Yeah, the August Celestials. I didn't want to pronounce the Shadow Pan because I thought I'm going to say this wrong there. Shadow Pan.
Yeah.
But thanks for that. But as we said, yeah, you're going to have to be revered with each faction. With those factions to buy the Valor gear from them, so that's different.
Yeah, not to leave the PvPers out. Conquest, obviously, once Mist drops, you can earn Conquest points again. There's a cap of 4,000 Conquest points. Arenas and Raid Battlegrounds will give you your Conquest points, and you'll be using those points to purchase 483 eye level gear from Pandaren Battlemasters. Notice how the eye level on the gear is lower than what you get for the PvE equivalent.
PvE gear. Yeah.
This is a change that they brought about when people have been sort of like just putting on the craftable PvP gear in Cataclysm so that they go over the caps for sort of heroic dungeons and for LFR.
Or LFR. Yeah. I'm actually quite glad they've done this, because we have seen it from ourselves, the problem with people in, say, let's just say, a little bit of PvP gear can cause
A little bit, head to toe.
can cause an raid. I mean, it's not going to work in a new expansion which hasn't even been nerfed totally at all either. Either. It's not going to work full stop. If they're going to try and get into raids with PvP gear, it's just not even going to go nowhere. Even now, it can be tricky.
Yeah,
So-
because ultimately, at the end of the day, by having those PvP stats on that gear,
Mm.
you are missing out on other stats that are important.
Yeah.
You're missing out on
Important
those other
stats.
secondary stats. You may not be hit capped.
Yeah.
You may not have the right amount of haste you need for a healer.
Oh.
So you may not have the mastery required for the tanking class, for instance. So I think it's a smart move. What it does
I
do
think it-
is it gives PvPers a very, I don't want to say a bubble, but it gives them a clear area in which this is our gear.
That's exactly
This is
how
how
I
you gear for PvP.
Yeah.
And with them adding in like the PvP power and the PvP resilience factors to it, it's going to make PvE gear less appropriate for PvP,
For PvP.
or
Yeah.
hopefully,
Well, not. Yeah. I know what you
hopefully
mean.
just completely irrelevant.
Irrelevant. Exactly. That's,
So you're going to want
that's
to get
it.
that PvP gear. You want to gear up PvP style. You want to get those conquest points. So I think this is a good move from Blizzard. It gives
Yeah.
clear segregation between the two
Yeah,
types
exactly.
of gearing.
It almost puts people back in their place, if you know what I mean. It shows you the PvPers, it shows you the PvEers. You know,
Yeah.
it says this is what I do, this is what I'm doing, type thing. I'm not just gonna go head to toe in PvP gear just to get into an LFR. And I was gonna say we've all done it, but I think
I mean, the other thing,
but-
if people are out there worrying about sort of like they like to PVE, but they also like to PvP sometimes. Like yourself, you said that you
Yeah, I'm
you like to get in
playing-
there.
getting into it.
One of the other changes they're introducing is they're giving everyone a base resilience stat as well. So
Right.
even if you're head to toe in PvE gear, when you go into a battleground or arena, you will have some resilience, PvP resilience, to sort of like help mitigate some of that
Yeah.
damage that you're going to be getting.
Squishiness.
Yeah, it'll just make you that little bit tougher.
There is
the
a
oth-
little bit of.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was going to touch on something there about if you don't mind me.
No,
There's a
go
little
for
bit
it.
of possible information about the future patch after Mist is released. Patch 5.1. Apparently, they're going to be possibly allowing you to use your Valor points to not necessarily replace your existing gear, but to upgrade your existing gear. How do you think that'll work?
Yeah, we touched upon this when this all sort of kind of got data mined out in the first place about sort of like you spend Valor points to upgrade your gear a few eye levels. So
Yeah.
you get like the stat increase that those eye levels would give you. You get that damage increase and things like that. I think this is another good way of like maybe you can't afford, maybe you're not revered yet with a faction.
Yeah.
Maybe you haven't quite got enough for that new chess piece. But what you can do is whilst you're leveling up, you're going through those dungeons and you're grinding
Yeah.
out those dailies for the Valor points, you can give yourself a little bit of a boost, almost in a way of buying a second enchant.
Well, I was just thinking that is this not going to make enchanters a little bit annoyed?
I think if you have a system where you've got Valor upgrades and enchants as two separate items, I think
Yeah.
people are always going to want to make sure they're getting the most. So I don't think enchanters are
that's-
going to miss out whatsoever.
Yeah, I guess you're right. I mean, that's yeah. Yeah, I don't think it's a bad move. I think it's going to be interesting to see how people work that out as well. See how they actually upgrade their gear, if you like. It's a nice term. I like the idea of upgrading using the actual Valor point for something else.
What
in
it does
terms of
mean
just
is when
totally
when you get that piece
changing.
of gear as a drop from a dungeon or from a raid, or you buy that piece of gear from a vendor, maybe you are going to hang on to it for that bit longer because you've upgraded it, you've put that time into it. So maybe your dungeon piece is fully upgraded with Valor, and it's fully gemmed, it's fully enchanted, and you get that piece that drops in the raid. Maybe you're going to continue with that piece that you've been relying on whilst you save up the
That's got
resources
you.
and the mats to
Yeah.
be able to use that other piece to its full potential.
Because it's quite a strange thing as well, because there is sometimes that feeling of, say, for example, when you've got yourself, you've finally been after an item you saved up for and you've got it, and then suddenly an item drops in the raid the next day that
And
you
it's
could
gone.
use. And, yeah.
It just disappears, and you're like,
And you,
right, I didn't
a
need
little
that then.
bit of you is, well, a little bit of you is like, oh, I sort of feel guilty almost. I feel bad now. I feel annoyed at myself having saved up all that time. Now and then you don't really want to vendor it.
Yeah.
Because you've gemmed it and stuff like that, you've enchanted it, and you're annoyed at the same time that you spent so much money.
I mean-
At least this, in a way, this can give you a little bit more. you can sort of boost it up again if you like.
Definitely. I mean, honestly, I'm one of these people. I will sit there at the Valor Point vendor and I will be like, right, so is that a better upgrade? Is that going to last me longer? Because I don't want to spend my Valor Points thinking, oh, I've wasted those.
Yeah, exactly. There's
And,
nothing
and
more.
I can sit there for ages. Then I'm like, ooh, or if I got that, then it's a little bit better than that.
Yeah.
But I'm going to
And then you
replace it with that.
I know.
So I think this will serve as two things. It will extend the life of some of your gear,
Definitely.
and also the flip side of that is, so Blizzard as well, it's going to kind of act as a Valor Point sink. So people
Yeah, I
are
know
going
what you
to
mean.
sink Valor Points into it. They're going to want to re-earn those. So then they're going to want to run their dailies more. They're
Yeah, they're
going
going
to
to do the
run
dailies.
those dungeons again.
Yeah, because obviously it's not going to cost you as much to enhance a weapon with Valor points than it would be to buy a completely new weapon. I would imagine. So
Yeah,
it's gonna be interesting to see what kind of price they put on that. if you like.
definitely.
Interested.
I mean, whilst we're on what's coming and etc., they've been playing around a bit with the path of how you get to Pandaria. The beta recently has experienced some changes in the amount of XP required for getting to
Pandaria.
level 85 to experience that new content.
Yeah.
And I mean, the biggest change is probably at the Cataclysm end, where
the old.
they have nerfed, take for instance, between level 82 and 83, you now require 33% less experience
Wow.
to gain levels.
That
I
is
mean,
quite a drop.
that's quite a bit. 83 to 84, again, is 33%.
Right.
And 84 to 85 has taken a massive hit. And they've just cut in half the amount of experience required. It's down from sort of like 9 million to 4.5.
Oof, wow. Because that used. I mean, from what I sometimes pick up, and I remember myself, especially leveling in my second and third 85s, was I sort of really disliked having to go through Twilight Highlands. So part of me is thinking to myself, that's not too bad because you can get your lower level alts into the newer content a bit quicker now.
Yeah, well, I think
But
looking at the numbers here, you could probably comfortably be done with Cataclysm by your third zone.
Yeah, and and also if you take into account the guild perks and your
If you're using
Yeah,
heirlooms as well.
exactly things like that, it's going to be even faster. And although I have noticed that they have increased the XP required to level, say for example, from 85 to 86 and so on and so forth, up to 90. I've noticed that's
Yeah,
taken.
they have. So sort of like the 85 to 86 originally was about 10 million XP required, and it's now going to be 13 million. They did like boost it to 55% more, and then they nerfed it back down to 30% because they realised they must have
Yeah.
overshot what they probably run out of XP in the zone.
The thing is, though, I mean, it's. I think it's going to preserve the life of things a little bit longer as well. And as they've made no secret, they want more people to see this
See the
expansion. They want
world.
people to see the world. I mean, that's it. So I think that's going to be the case. Because
Well,
that's
I know
quite a
that
jump.
I know there was people in the
Okay.
beta who were saying that sort of like they were done leveling before hitting those sort of like level 90 and 89 areas, because we have got a bit of a Wrath of the Lich King here, where we've got a continent that's got lots of levels that overlap and interlock with their level ranges. So where you go and level, you can chop and change up as you
Change,
go
which
through
is-
the expansion, which is
Yeah.
brilliant for those with lots of alts.
Yeah, it is.
And so what they've done is they've realised that sort of maybe people were hitting 90 too quickly, so they've put the extra experience requirement
Yeah.
in there, and so sort of like it'll be more of a
Challenge.
slower curve.
Yeah,
should I say.
I will definitely, absolutely. And as I say, I think that's actually a good thing. I say that now, of course. But
I mean, for me, the only bad side of this that I can see is that the 40 to 82 content is the same. So I'm not going to get
Oh,
through
right.
Outland any faster.
Oh, no.
I'm just going to have to suck it up and
Yeah,
just
exactly. You're
just
still
do
gonna
it
have to
with
face
my
that.
alts that are sort of like lingering there.
Oh, I know. It's just think you've still got those heirlooms. That's the only only thing that can help you there. I'm
Yeah, I mean,
afraid.
interestingly enough, they actually nerfed the XP requirement for 10 to 39, which I'll be honest, I never thought that there was a problem with that
No, I think,
window of content. I think the biggest problem lies getting through Outland and Northrend at the moment.
and the reason I find that strange is because nothing in Outland and Northern changed in Cataclysm.
No.
In the Eastern Kingdom and Calendar, obviously you had the new quest lines, new storylines because of the destruction to the world, basically, and so to sort of relax on the XP requirement for almost the vanilla content, if you like, is quite strange
Yeah.
for me.
I mean,
I think-
I think before the Cataclysm, it used to be you hit 58 and you go to Outland and you level. Because the gear was a lot better and it was fresher. Because
so
because it was newer than
uh,
Azeroth.
that's it.
And after the Cataclysm, when I've leveled alts through the Cataclysm 1 to 60 zones, I've stayed in Azeroth until level 60, then gone to Outland. Because
Yeah.
that minimises the amount of time I'm in Outland.
You're an Outland for it, yeah, and I can understand that.
But I mean, this is as we said at the top. This is all changes that have happened in the beta. They've
Yeah.
changed this once already, and there's no saying they're not going to change it again. I mean, they could go absolutely crazy and double up on the XP required to go from 89 to 90 if they really wanted.
Well, the 89 to 90 is quite a heart stopper as it is.
I think its current
32 million
requirement 32 million. Yeah.
XP required between those two levels.
I mean, it's
Between
all
that
kind of just numbers at the moment because it's kind of dependent on how much you're getting per quest
That's it.
completion. If
You know, it's probably going to be, obviously it's going to be pretty much relative anyway, you know, in terms of your level and
yeah.
things like that, and quests to those levels.
So it wouldn't be an Unquestionable podcast without a wild prediction. But how many days
Not at all.
or hours, if you want, after launch do you think we're going to see the first level 90?
I think it'll happen in the same day. I do. I don't know. I think it's always happened though, hasn't it? Well, no. Well, not in terms, obviously, in terms of getting from, because I know for BC you had to level from 60 to 70.
60 to 70, yeah. And
Right,
and Wrath of the Lich King was 70 to 80.
And there were definitely people leveling to 80 in the first day.
Mm.
I'm sure there was. There would have been. I'm certain
That
of it.
wouldn't surprise me. Because
And there was-
even as we speak, there's people who are on the beta who are working out the most XP efficient way of gaining each level. So sort of like striking a balance between questing, when to grind mobs between certain bits.
I don't know. I'm trying to really. This is. I think it will happen. I think it will definitely happen on the same day. But in terms of hours, I really don't want to be. So I'll end up saying something ridiculous. But I'll say 8 hours. Okay,
8
I don't
hours.
know.
I
What about yourself?
quite like that.
Your turn.
That's
turn.
quite a nice number. I think it will take longer. I think we will like you. I think we'll see it in the same day. But I'm going to say 10 hours.
Right.
So
It's
we
not
go.
too much. Okay.
It's similar, but I was saying that 2 hours of power leveling is probably quite intense. But there's in the past when we've had the new level cap and stuff, there's been crazy things that you hear about, sort of like guild members of people attempting it, going off to other grinding areas to kind of disrupt the grind process for other players who may be trying it. Sort of on PvP servers, their friends going out to kill members of the opposite faction who may be trying to grind out the same thing.
Yeah.
And likewise, people taking bodyguards with them.
I like that. It's a real competition for some people, though, and I think it's also safe to say there might be a few people having a few bets with each other. See who
Yeah.
can maybe get.
I mean, I think the leveling to the new cap is normally the first race to world first we see.
Yeah, I think
where it might not be as quite as exciting as raiding, but it's for people it's what they live for a new expansion.
How do you think? This is another sort of related question. Well, it's a related question to leveling. Have you put a time limit on your own, or do you still want to do that? Your own leveling.
I'm reluctant to do that, but ultimately, at the end of the day, I'm also going to be raid leading.
That's it. Yeah.
Come Miss Pandaria. So
Mhm.
I would like to take my time, but do it in the first week.
Yeah.
if that makes sense.
It does, and I can sort of relate to that in the same way, and it's for the same reasons.
I want slow quest text. I want to read it. I want to know what I'm doing. I don't want to just open my map and fly to the shiny question mark. You can't even fly. So Blizzard are helping me already.
Well, I've already got my D&D slash D&D thing sorted out for the first day.
Yep.
I've got it prepared, so any guild questions, I'll be like, sorry, I'm busy.
Away.
I think I've told you before. I remember when you were on, when you got the Diablo 3, and I think you were on permanent red D&D for like an entire week.
I set it on Do Not Disturb for like 10 minutes when I had tea when it first launched, and apparently I never turned it off.
No, you didn't. It was completely always in red, so I never sent any messages or anything. Said hello. I thought.
So
yeah, I think that'll be the
it
case
works
for a lot.
apparently.
Yeah, it does. If people don't disturb, I don't disturb. But that doesn't always work for me. I don't think I sometimes still get the odd whisper now and again saying,
What are you up
But
to?
as I say,
Where are you?
Can you boost me? No. I'm looking forward to it. As I say, it's just going to be.
Do you want to do Dead Mines?
Oh, that place. Hopefully, never have to go back there as well. Yeah, that's the other point as well. I like to bring. As I say, we're going to see 2 old dungeons back again, and that's another level 90 at Shulaman Sands Scarlet Monastery.
Indeed.
I think they're going to be great.
Yeah, I can't wait for those.
Look forward to them. There's 2 things I think I keep forgetting about them, and then I looked at the cinematic today again, and then some related videos. I thought, oh yeah, we're getting those again. So it's added to the excitement just a bit again. So
Yeah, definitely.
let's see, bring in the patch anyway.
Yeah. There's also been there's been a couple of blue posts to address people's queries about sort of like what is coming in patches, what isn't coming in patches, what you need to buy Mr. Pandaria for. So we've got a bit of a quick list here to give people a bit of a rundown. And so when the 504 patch hits on the 28th, 29th of August,
Yep.
no matter what level of subscription you've got, whether it's vanilla including BC, Wrath of the Lich King or Cataclysm, everyone will be able to roll every race apart from a Pandaren. So if you're on a trial account, before you weren't able to roll a Goblin or a Worgen, you will be able to now on a trial account, and you'll be able to play through those starting areas and play up to 20 like the trial does. If your subscription is only a Burning Crusade level subscription, in addition to being able to roll your Draenei and your what was the Horde one? Blood Elf.
Blood Elf.
Complete blank now.
I know.
Yeah, you'll be able to, not only will you be able to roll your Draenei and Blood Elf, you'll also be able to roll Goblin, Worgen. When Mr. Pandaria lands on the 25th of September, all of those people will then be able to make Pandarens additionally. You don't need to buy Mr. Pandaria to make a Pandaren. You will only be able to level them to level 85 if you're a Cataclysm subscriber, or 70 if you're a Burning Crusade, or 80 if you're Wrath of the Lich King.
So I take it you're going to start in the same zones?
You will start on the Wandering Isle, the Pandaren starting zone, which is new content. So you're kind of getting new content for free, even if you don't buy Mr. Pandaria. You will be able to. You can make an informed decision whether you want to get Mr. Pandaria in a way.
It seems that you can get quite a lot of it, though.
Yeah, your mounts will go account wide automatically because that's a kind of in a way of if you're only a subscriber to vanilla World of Warcraft when Cataclysm come out, the 1 to 60 content changed for you anyway because they weren't going to put you in a separate instant version of WoW with the old questing system.
Yeah.
That probably would have been enough to make people buy Cataclysm.
Yeah.
Right, some of the things you can't do. Oh, one last thing. You will be able to take part in the pet battle system without purchasing Mr. Pandaria. Andy, I understand this has you in a little bit of a tizz over it.
I do. I can't understand this because to me this is one of Blizzard's big points, big new selling points to me for the game, and I just find it odd that they're letting it's been almost given away for nothing. It's almost like, yeah, the rest of us are paying for this, almost in a way. We're paying for it, but there's others out there that can just go and basically get it for just a subscription fee, even if you just got the original game and that's it.
Yeah, indeed.
I think, is there not going to be?
I think
if this is the case, sorry, but
no, you
maybe
go on. You get out your
Good.
system.
Maybe just limit it. Have some limits on it at least. Limit the amount of pets they can use. Limit the amount of battles they can do each day. That's me sound a bit harsh. But...
Not in my game. I'm a special little snowflake. That's what I'm hearing.
What's your point? What's your take on this?
No, all jesting aside, I think this is where I'm careful, where I don't want to say for the casuals or for the kids, but this expansion will pull in a younger audience naturally because of its content, but also what we can't forget is people who've been playing this for almost 8 years. Yeah. They've got older. There are people who are younger than you, who are at that age when you started playing, who want to start playing.
That's a good point.
They're not a younger audience as such. They're still the same audience. You're older.
Yes. That's it. Real reality check.
Indeed. But part of the problem is say someone goes, oh, I hear they've got pet battles in there nowadays, and someone who's a subscriber says, yeah, they have. Yeah, you should get in there. You would love them, and you'd love the game too. So I think, oh, all right, I'll try this pet battle system. Currently, if it was exclusive to Mr. Pandaria, you'd have to go out, buy the World of Warcraft battle chest. You'd have to buy Wrath of the Lich King. You'd have to buy Cataclysm, and you'd also have to buy Mr. Pandaria. Exactly. And that would make a price of point of entry of sort of like, I don't know, €50 or about £45 in the UK.
Yeah.
And that, yes, you get 30 days free playing time. You still have to pay like the £9 a month subscription fee after that as well. That is a big barrier of entry, that cost.
It is, yeah.
If you turn around to someone and say, yeah, you want to play pet battles? That's £45, please. They will say, yeah, I'll probably wait for the next bus.
Yeah, I think Blizz have sort of maybe they've clicked onto that one as well.
Where's this? They could go in, they could go on the Blizzard store, or they could go in a shop, they could pick up the battle chest for anywhere from sort of like £7 to £10, and 30 days free, and they're in pet battle system.
Yeah, I suppose, and they're still gonna, as I say, we've said before, the pet battles is opening up a whole new chapter.
Demographic.
Almost.
That's how I like to call it.
Yeah, that's a good word to use. Absolutely. And it'll be a new audience. I think that there will be a big section brought in. From
I mean, ultimately, for what Blizzard sell the original games and the earlier expansions for nowadays, their money from those people come from retaining their subscriptions.
That's right.
So to make that more digestible for the consumer can only be a good thing.
Yeah.
Because if say I once again I run the risk of stereotyping here, but someone goes into game with their mum and they want to play pet battle system in Miss Pandaria. Mum asks the person behind the counter, what do I need? And they get 45 quid's worth of boxes off the shelf. Mum's going to say, No chance.
No way.
You can wait a few days and get FIFA 13 on the PlayStation
Yep.
or Xbox.
Games
Equal
are available.
opportunities here. So I think that's part of the reasoning behind it. I think that cost for people wanting to get in for some of the key features, like trying a Pandaren. They will be
Yeah.
able to buy a basic box and try Pandaren for 30 days. If they don't like it, they can walk away. If they like it, they can then slowly, as they level through, they can add the expansions as they consume them.
Yeah, that's true. I suppose it is quite a smart move by Blizzard, really.
Yeah. I
People
think,
still test the water out as well.
to be honest, I think I'm surprised this hasn't happened sooner. Because this whole idea of, oh right, I've got to level 60. Oh, I need to buy the Burning Crusade. Oh, I've got to level 70. I need to buy the Wrath of the Lich King. For people who have been in the Blizzard ecosystem for this, it's something that we are all familiar with. We've had that sort of like that churn of expansions because we've been active subscribers.
Yeah.
For new people coming into it, it's a wall of boxes that you have to
It
buy
is.
to get
Yeah.
up to speed.
There are, however, I suppose, still some things that they
There
won't
are-
be able to
There are
access.
some things for our exclusive little club,
They can Feel
which
so
we can
elitist
all
now. I'm
feel
not
special
really-
about. We can all
they cannot
be unique
access-
little snowflakes.
Pandaria, obviously.
Indeed.
The actual area. They can't level skills beyond their currently subscribed content. They can't enter raids or dungeons or battlegrounds beyond their own subscribed content as well, and they cannot level a monk.
Indeed. So you can roll a Pandaren, but you can't be a monk Pandaren.
Yeah. Why do you think that is? Why do you think?
I think the monk is a signature class of the expansion, and also with the monk and with the Pandaren coming in, we are getting that 11th character slot. It's
Yes.
not listed in these details, but I suspect people who haven't got Pandaria, they're not going to get that 11th slot, so they can't have one of everything.
No. So in a way, again, as I say, I go back. I think it's quite a smart move from Blizzard still. It's still
Yeah, it still keeps the exclusivity of the monk.
exclusivity of the the content. Absolutely.
Yeah, and the core of the new content that they've spent a lot of time doing still remains for people who purchase the expansion.
Yeah. And yeah. Now talking about deals or sort of things, I believe that on the Blizzard store you can currently purchase World of Warcraft, the original game, for £4.
Indeed.
And Wrath for the same price, and Cataclysm for £8. That's 3/4 off, 75% off the regular prices. How long is this? Does this deal last for? Do you know?
It's for the week.
Alright.
They end on August 27th. So for we're sort of like days before the patch.
Yeah, just a week to go. I just thought to throw
So
that
so
one in there
you get
because-
your friend to buy it. New person to an MMO. They start learning the basics of their class over that week, over this coming week, and then
Yeah.
the patch drops and they've changed all the talents. They've changed everything. Especially if they roll a warlock.
Oh,
Culture shock.
oh, I'm looking forward to that. Yeah, it's gonna be a shock to the system, I think, because as I say, I haven't looked at any of my changes for my main character, so I think I'm going to be in for a little bit of a culture shock.
Indeed.
I'm hoping I'll still be able to cast spells and stuff like that, but
Yeah.
I'm not. I'm going to be really disappointed.
Well, the good thing that's coming with this is they're bringing in sort of like with your spell book, they're bringing in your most important spells for your specking
Yeah.
of that class, etc. They're sort of like cutting it up and dividing it a lot more intuitively.
Yeah, as I say, part of me as well, the reason as well, again, why I've mentioned this in the past, why I haven't looked at anything, is because, I really want to just sort of almost like throw myself headfirst into it and just really find out for myself. And secretly, I hope at the same time that Noxic have updated everything on the same day, on the first day.
Definitely.
Anyway.
One last piece, just a quick piece, and that's we've finally got a date for the end of the beta,
Oh, we do.
and it's September the 11th.
So pretty much 2 weeks before the release of the.
Yeah, and I think that's been quite a traditional thing where they shut down the beta around that time.
Yeah. Almost pretty much confirms, but not confirms things, but because we know we've got confirmation, but almost like it's almost like the final step. You know what I mean? Before the release.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
It was a very painful process.
Progression indeed. Andy, busy week. Give us the rundown.
It's been an exceedingly busy week. Probably one of the busiest weeks we've had in months and months. Got through quite a bit of content this week in the past 7 days, including another bit of good news. The alt team finally got its. Well, I say the alt team, the second sort of raid team that we were aiming for at one point. But I'm calling it an alt team for tonight. Got the Dragon Soul kill, the 8 out of 8 down. Sorry, finally, including my paladin. So finally got a second title.
Oh, wait.
On.
It deserves one. It really does. No,
Thank you
congrats.
very much. Cheers. It was a really good one, and we also got the Thursday night one led by your own self.
Indeed.
Downed, no problem again. Got another heroic kill yet again. So definitely no complaints, and we also managed to get. I think Blackwing Descent. I can't
Put your teeth in.
Blackwing. That's it. They're back. Blackwing Descent. That's the one.
That's the
And
one.
Throne of the Four Winds. So a few more people got a few new achievements that they never had and they were looking to get.
Indeed.
So I was really happy with that. So all in all, it's been progression-wise, it's been great, especially to get 2 Dragon Souls down in 1 week.
Yeah.
You know, like in terms of the usual one. So
I mean, you look around and you see sort of like sort of pug groups in trade really struggling to get off the ground.
you do.
And we're
Especially-
putting 2 DS teams through in a week.
Yeah.
And we're
It's-
doing those additional runs to Throne of the Four Winds and Blackwing Descent as well.
So I mean, it's been exactly, and as you say, when you see the people struggling to get things going in trade, and it's like, it's a great feeling knowing that you've got almost like the backup of the guild, and their support even, because the guild, the last 2 groups that were made for Dragon Soul on the Thursday and the Saturday, I believe, they were full 10 out of 10 groups. You know?
Yeah.
So we're finally getting there, and I
Yeah.
think we're going to be good for Mists.
Definitely.
Fingers crossed.
I mean, the Thursday is such a hard thing for me at the moment because we get so many sign-ups and I get that overflow of guilt from having to turn people
I
away.
do
So,
sympathise.
but I will be honest, I would rather have to turn people away than to have to resort to trade to pick through the trolls to find some people to raid with.
Well, and I hope people on the guild, especially, who listen to this on the podcast and
Yeah,
try
I mean,
and understand.
I want to say a
it's
big
difficult.
thank you for people who just turn up week in, week out and
Yeah.
commit to these things. They've been fantastic.
And we are trying to get like new names in there every week now, aren't we? I mean, we're trying to revolve around the guildies, as it were. Try and get a few new names, get their Dragon Soul achievements. But it's tough sometimes because you've got to have the group balance, and I've mentioned that even from the very start when we started recording these podcasts. The group has to be balanced for things, no matter what, you know.
Yeah, definitely. It's definitely one of those things, and it's all looking promising.
It is though. I mean, I've got to say, I've a good hope for Mists, and we've got a bit of sort of Mist boss info shortly, don't we?
We have indeed. It's that favoured section that we've been talking about.
Yeah.
Well, I think there's no better segue than that to link into
Yep.
it. Just to sort of put a little bit of context onto it. The first raid encounter is going to be Mogashon Vaults, and it's located high up in the hills, or the mountains even, of Kunrai Summit. The area, kind of a little bit like the Nepalese mountains, that
It's a
sort
bit
of
like that.
those Asian themes running through it very strongly in like the building design.
The music, even the whole context is very much Oriental, isn't it?
Yeah, that's something the whole expansion has got, which I
Yeah.
can't wait for. So
Yeah,
I suggest we take ourselves for a little stroll through the snow.
yeah.
The Mogu, proud of their supremacy, kept lengthy records of their accomplishments within a great complex of vaults. Guarded by ferocious magical beings, these sacred chambers have remained silent since the Mogu's departure.
Indeed, here we are inside the vaults, and the Mogu been keeping stuff tucked away until us band of adventurers go there, have a little bit of a poke around and see what we can find.
Yeah.
As we all do, we like to do
And we
that
seem
sort
to
of
have
thing.
found quite an interesting boss. It's the first boss, I think, the first raid that we're going
Indeed.
to encounter.
The first boss of the encounter, which it will be the case in LFR, in normal modes, and in heroics. The Stone Guard.
Yeah. Now, these guys look quite interesting.
Indeed, they are.
They're
I
effectively
read you the
called
first
Claw-
line from the Dungeon Journal to introduce them. Right, first line of defense against those daring to enter the vaults is a solid row of enchanted, bestial statues. Hard as granite and ceaseless in their vigil, the sentries of the Stone Guard present an insurmountable wall of fangs, flame, and claws. I almost lost my fangs
I
whilst
know,
reading that.
I was gonna say, both of us done that now.
Yeah, why not? Keep things fresh, isn't it?
But,
So basically, to give you a little bit of an overview of the fight, there's 4 of these Stone Guards, and every week you will get 3 of the 4.
yeah.
They're described as being a rotating set of 3 of the 4 are present each week. So
Ah, so
from that description, I'm thinking everyone's going to get the same combination. It's not
Yeah,
going to
it'll
sort
just
of be like a your Sarge, what colours we're going to get next.
Yeah. It's a bit like, yeah, it's there used to be. It's a bit similar to almost in the first boss in Bastion of Twilight. I'm trying to remember his name, but he, very big guy who had a sort of winged demon beside him.
Yeah.
Oh, it's gonna. You know who I'm talking about, don't you?
I do know who you're talking about, but I can't remember.
I can't remember his name. Please feel free to email us. Anyway, you used to have like there was like
Subject:
drakes-
Hey noobs.
Oh God. There's drakes you could release certain, but that would rotate each week as well, which drakes to release.
Yeah.
So this is a bit like that, but it'd be the same for everyone. It wouldn't be this. Wouldn't be different for.
Yeah,
Very.
I think that's how I'm reading into it. I mean,
Mhm.
it would kind of make sense in the early stages for raid groups who are pushing those heroics, pushing those world firsts, for everyone to be on a level playing field and it not be RNG which combination they get if one combination turns out easier than others.
I gather you've looked at I've looked at a video as well of this, and it looks an interesting fight, a bit similar. They've all got the good thing is I like about this, they've all got a shared health pool, thank goodness.
Definitely.
Because some of their attacks seem pretty severe.
Yeah, I think the best way to approach the description of the fight is to kind of give a general overview to start with. And so the 3 will become active. Your main tank will pick up 2. Your off tank will pick up 1. They get pulled apart, and the 2 who are together start building up energy. And once their energy reaches full, they do their special move, their overload.
Right.
Which, depending on which colour overloads, depends on the effect and so on and so forth. So, right at the beginning of the fight, one of them will cast like a debuff,
Okay.
petrification, and it's over time it stacks up to 100. If it reaches 100 at any point, you get
You're-
turned to stone and you can't do
Right.
anything.
Okay. And you can't reverse that, and once you're turned to stone, that's it over, isn't it?
Yep,
Basically.
that sounds like it's pretty much it for you.
Hmm.
But what happens is as you're picking up this debuff, essentially, you are also picking up resistance to particular schools of magic. So like
Oh,
shadow
right,
damage,
okay.
arcane damage, nature damage.
So it's a case of balancing it out almost, as if not just sort of stop yourself getting turned to stone, just at the right time, just not let it get too high, almost to stack even.
Indeed. So sort of like to go with an example, if you've got red, blue and green up and you're getting the green debuff, you will want, say, the red and the green together so that they're building energy.
Yeah.
Once it gets to about 50, you're going to want to swap with the other tank. You're going to want to move what the colours you don't want. You want to swap those over
Yeah.
so that the stacks continue to the energy continues to build on the targeted one you want, but doesn't reach the maximum on the ones you don't want.
Of course.
Once it reaches full energy, it overloads. It clears off your stacks of petrification,
Right. Okay.
and then the process starts over again.
Starts off again. Yeah.
It's
I
pretty
understand
simple.
that. Yeah. When you put it that way, it
Well,
does.
it sounds pretty
But-
simple.
Yeah, it's going to be quite interesting, I think, trying this boss for the first time, both on LFR and on normal.
Definitely. I mean, it's sounding like an LFR Wiperfest already.
It does have. I'm actually seeing the posts now on the raid chat, and because you know sometimes you might get the occasional bad LFR group in Dragon Soul, and you do still get them.
Yep.
They still happen. You'd be surprised how many times people still AoE on Deathwing, as we sort of mentioned earlier on the show. Some people still do it, and it's not good for the raid.
No, definitely it's not good for
Um,
the raid.
I still think you'll see a few similar sort of retorts and remarks in your LFRs, but I think we'll get there with this one. The bosses really have some quite severe attacks, though, don't they?
Yeah, they have. They have some big damage attacks that will be going out. Depending on which color, depends on sort of what they kind of do. So just to run through them quickly, the Amethyst Guardian creates a pool that inflicts shadow damage every second for anyone who's in that area. So you're going to want to. So your tank's going to be like popping cooldowns, and DPS are going to want to get out of it. That age-old mechanic of getting out of the poop.
Yeah, exactly. That's always glad to see that's not going to change.
Yeah. The Cobalt Guardian, it launches a charged Cobalt shard at a player's location. After 3 seconds of an arming, any player within 7 yards will detonate the shard, inflicting damage and routing all players within 7 yards for 6 seconds.
Right.
So that's one of those things. It's going to land there. Get out of the way.
Get out of the poop, exactly. And
Indeed.
another-
So there's a get out of the poop. There's the get out of the impact zone.
Yeah.
Then there is the Jade Guardian, and casts Jade Shards, which is a straight up raid wide damage. Jade Guardian fires shards in all directions, inflicting nature damage to all players.
So again, you're
going to
for
want
healers.
people to stack up. You want to get the AoE
that's-
healers in.
Yeah, absolutely. I can see the stacking up now on that one.
Yep. So already we've got markers being put down in our heads mentally.
Can't wait already.
The Jasper Guardian, the fourth type of Guardian, casts something called Jasper Chains, and the Jasper Chains chain 2 targets together. Whilst the targets are over 10 yards apart, the chains inflict 20,000 fire damage, increased by 10% for each second they remain apart.
I think that's going to be the
So-
one I hope not there.
Yeah, the natural thing that I thought of when I first read that first part was that you're going to want to get together, you want to close the gap, a bit like you do in the Blood Queen fight in Ice Crown.
Good example, yeah.
But there's a kicker on the end of it of the chains will break if the targets remain apart for 15 total seconds.
Ah, so you've got to
So
recruit for that.
basically, you've got two people who are going to be taking increasing damage over time.
Damage, yeah, quite a bit.
So it's going to be something for the healers to be aware of, to keep those topped up, to keep and if
Yep.
they've got defensive cooldowns, maybe pop them.
Use-
Like mages be like ice blocking themselves and things like that.
Oh, healers will be sweating on that one. That's for definite.
LFR hunters will be using Feign Death. Wrong. Use deterrence. But so it sounds like depending on who's up, you're going to get
Yeah.
different ways of dealing with things.
Yeah, I think that Jasper Guardian was the one I hope not to see.
Yeah, it's
I
the
think
one
that would be fun.
that sounds like it might be the
Like
the trickier one.
Yeah, yeah.
I mean, in theory, it is just a case of maybe you put two markers down that are distance apart from each other, and they go stand there.
In a way, it's good. In a way, it's good though because it keeps the run fresh and all. In a way, because
Keeps
you're
it
not doing the
fresh.
same thing.
Yeah, you're not sure
If-
which one you're going to get each week.
That's it. Absolutely. Yeah, I quite like the look of them. They look really nice. Apparently, they're Quillen,
Yep.
which I couldn't really find out much about. I did try and do a little bit of research on them. All I could find out was that they are basically canine/leonine creatures that are native to Pandaria, and that they basically just roam about.
I mean, the other place where we've seen these Quillen is the mount you get with the collector's edition,
Ah, yes. of
and
course.
also the pet you get with the collector's edition, because
Yeah.
that's the little Quillen cub is
Almost an introduction.
just smaller versions of them.
Is us almost like easing us slightly again into mists.
Yeah,
With
definitely.
the-
It's cushioning the blow for the first fight. So, well, I hope that fight in your head makes sense, with just audio to describe it. I mean, there's videos out there already. I mean, numbers that I've put in, they're obviously subject to change. This is all in beta at the
Yeah.
moment. So, but it is the mechanics, I think, aren't going to change.
No, I think
that
I think in terms of
that
mechanics-
swapping to build stacks on the correct
Yeah.
one, because they only build stacks for their energy when there's two of them together.
Yeah.
That might have been the one thing that I may have missed out there. The one that's on its own won't build energy stacks. It's only when two
Right,
are together. So that's why you'll want to swap the one you don't want to max out on energy.
It's quite an interesting looking fight as well, from what I watched in the videos of this fight. Because as I say, it's three of them, so I kind of call it an it. As I say, they've all got one shared health pool, so that's something which isn't too bad.
Yeah. They all have a shared health pool, and that's going to be something that's good. And if they all had individual health pools and you had to pull them down at the same
Oh,
time and spread
bit
your
nasty.
damage across them, then that would be a nightmare, I think.
It's a bit similar to the fight in Blackwing Descent, also the defense system.
Yeah, it's a
Second
bit like
one,
Omicron
yeah.
defense system. It's
Yeah.
a little bit like the council fight as well.
Yeah, definitely.
So it's not necessarily brand new mechanics, but there's twists in it.
There is. very
And
much so.
like we said, this is the introductory raid of that tier, so we don't want it to be a wall so that no one gets past it.
Mhm. I think it's going to be quite a fun looking fight as well.
Yeah.
You know how some people dread bosses almost.
Yeah,
I don't think
I think it's going to be one of those ones. It's going to require a little bit of coordination. It's going to require a little bit of
absolutely.
communication.
Well, I was just thinking that communication is definitely going to have to be, I think, very important for, especially initially, because it's going to be new to most people.
Yeah, I
You know,
mean,
I
whether
still
it's going to be one of those, I'm not entirely sure what they could nerf as such for LFR. So what the difference will be when it hits Raid Finder. It may just be a bit like Morchok, where the damage is less,
Yeah.
because Morchok was pretty much unchanged apart from how much
Yeah, it was
damage
pretty
people
similar.
take.
That's in terms of actual strategy. It was the same. The mechanics were the same for LFR, wasn't it?
Yeah, definitely.
In terms of 10 man and LFR. But yeah, I'm looking forward to that one.
Indeed, I mean, and next week we'll have a another one for you?
I was going to say before we move on to our final subject of the show, if anyone that's listening regular to the podcast, or anybody that's new that's listening to the podcast, if they have taken a look at some bosses that are from the beta, if they want to, feel free to email us in on what their favourite one is so far. Feel free to do so at unquestionablepodcast@gmail.com.
Indeed. We always like to hear
Yeah.
from people.
and see what you think.
Right, so as you say, one more thing to go through, and that's our usual weekly slot of Surviving Azeroth.
Indeed.
A little bit less of a Surviving Azeroth this week, but more of a recommended reading or listening,
Yeah, I quite like
as
when
I
you've
like
got
to
for us
call
this
it.
week. I quite
Yeah.
like the sound of this.
It's not brand new. It's a couple of weeks old, and but it's something I've listened to myself. So, for anyone who doesn't listen too much to other podcasts from around the World of Warcraft community, there's a podcast called The Instance, done by Frogpants Studios, and they do all sorts of things in the World of Warcraft community. Like they actually have their own sort of convention
Right.
called Nerdtacular over in the States. And
Right.
sort of like the WoW players and people from their podcasting community, they do lots of different podcasts, but one of the flagship ones is The Instance, which is the World of
The
Warcraft podcast.
Right, okay.
And I mean, they're up to 287 episodes now, so they've been
Oh.
going. I mean, to put it in we've been going 18 episodes.
I know. We
So-
think that's long.
So yeah, honestly, if we get anywhere near that number, I would just be so unbelievably happy, because that's such a tremendous
Yeah.
number to hit.
Great achievement.
I mean, they've been going since the beta of vanilla. That's
I was
how
just
long
going to
they've
say,
been
it must
going.
be... Yeah.
So in not the latest episode, but the one before, it was a truncated episode because it was an interview episode.
Right.
And Scott Johnson, the main host of The Instance, he interviewed Christy Golden, who writes a lot of the World of Warcraft books,
Yeah.
and also Chris Metzen, who, if anyone listening to this doesn't know who Chris Metzen is, I'd be very surprised. He's Deathwing's voice, basically.
Yeah.
But no, he's more than that. He writes pretty much the base for the lore, for the characters. He has a massive hand in World of Warcraft.
Basically everything in terms of, yeah.
I mean, it says a lot about him that he does so many other projects as well. Like, I believe recently he wrote a series of comic books based in the Transformers universe, Autocracy.
okay.
It's available as a digital download, and he sort of like him and someone else did the illustration and the story of it. So it's we're talking about someone who's very much multi-talented.
Very much so, yeah.
And he's the guy who's on the stage at BlizzCon, pumping his fist in the air, getting everyone excited. He's the chest beating, flag waving Blizzard guy. I mean, he holds a vice president role at Blizzard. He's very much at the core of the company, core of the direction that all characters takes. He's not just involved in World of Warcraft, he's involved in the StarCraft universe as well.
Yep.
So, and basically it's an interview episode with Scott Johnson asking Chris Metzen and Christy Golden questions about Mr. Pandaria, about the book Jaina Proudmoore, Tides of War, which comes out in a week's time.
That's right.
And and that book is all about Theramore and Pandaria.
Yeah.
As sort of like a small snippet for me to deliver to you from the interview, there's a part where Christy Golden's talking about sort of Jaina in the book turning to her friends, and that is actually going to be a part in Pandaria where players are going to be playing that role of her friends. So that's how close the book and the game are tied together.
Yeah, exactly. I think
And some of the interview is about sort of like the close relationship that she as an author of the books has with even like the quest writers on the
Yeah.
expansion. So that's very much worth a listen. As per usual, the links will be in the show notes for it.
Definitely be having a listen to that myself.
And yeah, I can
that's awesome.
wholeheartedly recommend it.
Thanks very much for that one.
It's all right. I'd like to keep abreast of what's happening in and around the community.
Yeah, because I have listened to other podcasts in the past, but I haven't done so for a long time. So that might get me getting a few ideas for our very own. Listen, if I start doing that again, so
Yeah, definitely. I mean,
it's nice to listen to other persons as well, I suppose.
yeah, it's nice to hear what other people think of things that we've been talking about as well,
Yeah,
because we're all
absolutely.
kind of on the same page, that we all get the same news. Just the slight difference is when recording days are.
Yeah.
Before we leave you, I'll give you the details. You can contact us at unquestionablepodcast@gmail.com. You can go and visit the website, unquestionablepodcast.engine.com, where the Unquestionable Presence Guild information is. There's guild forums, there's podcast forums over there. Just come over, sign up, come in, join in the community and say hi.
And once again, I'm going to add this in again. Looking for a guest to appear on next week's show.
There you go.
So
Your call
again,
to arms, a guest.
this time, feel free to come and join us. Unquestionable Presence, Unquestionable Podcast even at gmail.com. I'm getting that wrong as well tonight. But yeah, we would love to have a guest on to grill a little bit about things, and it'll just be just before the patch as well. So
Indeed.
excitement will be abound.
Yep, and we'll have the second boss up in Mogashon Vaults. For those, just a last quick things about where to find us. You can also find us on iTunes, where you can rate and review us if you do so. Thank you. And as for show, that's it. We're out of here, and we'll see you next time.
See you again.
Bye.
Bye.